Hi guys, so we're back with another video on how to A-level specification of socialism. Again, we're going to summarize this entire topic in 25 minutes, so here we go. As you can see, I've already got my mind map here. More future videos will tell you that I won't be referencing this mind map in a sense, however, I'm already creating it, and so the aim of this, if you haven't joined here before, is that you get a piece of paper out and you follow me on how we do this mind map, and you will learn the entire socialism specification. So for example, we have one thing we haven't done yet is debates on equality for socialism. So key debates on equality within socialism focuses on the extent to which social and economic equality can or should be achieved. This is very important as obviously socialism really wants a fair and equal society, and therefore how this can be achieved is obviously a very key debate. The role of the state. At the role of the state, we already have a mind map here, and this shows the role of the state. For example, socialists believe in the third way approach, and this is, again, as I've already said before, is outlined by the state's role and should be to invest in the infrastructure and education rather than directly intervening in the economy. So do you know what the concept of intervening in the economy, that is the Keynesian approach, so that we are adhering to the non-Keynesian approach in a sense with this one. Giddens. So Giddens is a key socialist thinker that you need to know about, and it's very important you mention these in your 30-mark essays in order to maximize the points. So, for example, Giddens believed that social democracy should be modernized because of key developments in the 20th century, including globalization and rise of knowledge of the economy. And this is basically giving you evidence for your reasoning of your third point, saying that we should not invest into infrastructure and education. The top-down ways of the thought that Giddens argued. So, as I've stated here, top-down state intervention was now both inefficient and ineffective. The free market economy was not only the most efficient system of production, but it's also encouraged personal qualities such as responsibility. Very important. Social equality normalizes collectivization. So now we haven't actually done this yet. So here, how in the policy of socialism does social equality organize and suggest collectivism? So here we are. Social equality reinforces, some quote, collectivism. Now, how is this done? So, as we can see here, that this is kind of a counterpoint or something, and reasons why social equality is important. The reason it reinforces collectivism is through the cooperation and solidarity. Solidarity within society and the economy. Now, why is this? You may ask, why does competition and solidarity within society and the economy reinforce collectivism? And this is because of this human nature that we talk about. So humans are more likely to exist harmoniously in society and work together for the economic good. Good. Why though? Why? And what is this about collectivism? If they and this, the reason for this is, quote unquote, if they share the same societal and economic conditions, share the same societal and economic conditions. Now, we've got a counter argument here. And here's my counter argument. Counter So social inequality, and this starts with the social inequality point. Now think to yourself, why does social inequality not reinforce collectivism? Like, how can this be used as a counterpoint? Because we've already talked about social equality. Now, how social is quite an obvious point, really, is that on the other hand, it encourages conflict and instability. Encourages conflict and instability. Now, why is this? You need to give evidence for your essays. Why does it include? So, for example, it says that societies with great economic and social inequalities are unstable because they are sharply divided into the haves and have-nots, in a sense. So societies, let's just put in brackets, great economic and social inequalities are unstable. Because of, what did I say before? Because of the haves and have-nots. Okay, perfect. Now we're going to the next one. Societies with great economic, eventually, if a situation is, so then you basically, what you've done here is you've given your counterpoint, you've given evidence for it, and now you need to explain, point, evidence, explanation, and you need to link back to the question. So the evidence for this is, eventually, if a situation is not addressed, the disadvantaged section of society will revolt. So this, if situations are not addressed, the disadvantaged, in a sense, the disadvantaged sections of society, the disadvantaged sections of society will revolt in protest against their conditions. For example, again, we're giving an example. So I think a most key example will be Russia in 1917 with the Tsar. If you want to research more about that later, and Mexico. But I'm just going to stick to Russia in this one. Now we link back to the question. In a similar way, socialists condemn equality of opportunity for fostering a competitive dog-eat outlook. Socialists condemn equality of opportunity for fostering a competitive. What did I say before? What was it? Fostering competitive as a quote unquote. Dog eat dog outlook. Basically, almost a survival of the fittest in a sense. What is social democracy most concerned with? Again, we have, and what has informed this position? So we have this flashcard here about this, and it's already included. So what is, and copy this down on your mind map now. So it's most concerned with the just, so basically it's most concerned with the fair distribution of wealth in society and defining its core values in social justice. This form of socialism rests on a moral rather than Marxist critique of capitalism, and socialism is morally superior to capitalism, as Marx argued. Marx, if you didn't know, Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels both wrote the Communist Manifesto and are believed as key socialist ideas. Research that on the point, it would be very useful to expand into your evidence. Now, Christian principles have also informed the social democratic position, notably Christian socialist tradition in the UK and liberal theology in Latin America. Social democracy and encompasses a variety of perspectives, including the acceptance of private sector productivity and personal responsibility. So, to answer this question after listing a perfect essay plan paragraph for this question, basically what they're most concerned with is not sticking to their core values of social justice. But this is because it obviously rests on morally, and rather when capitalism doesn't, which is critique of capitalism, and it's this belief that almost social democracy encompasses a variety of perspectives. Because people are moral, therefore social democracy can succeed. Social democracy posits that democracy is compatible. So here is the flashcard for this here. Compatible with capitalism and is a type of revisionist socialism. What are the issues with social democracy in practice? So, if I look at this flashcard here, you can see, and please write this down, so social democracy does not work well during time of economic decline. Now, why is this? This can be seen because during economic decline, obviously employment skyrises as people get fired or furloughed, as we experienced during the lockdown. And therefore, the demand for welfare services like the job seekers allowance or welfare benefits that we have in the UK, at the same time, less tax revenue to fund welfare support because no one's working in their jobs and therefore the welfare benefits can't work. And therefore, because the people are obviously earning less. And therefore, as a result of this issue, social democracy lost its electoral support because of the shift to a post-industrial economy, which was based on providing services. This shift to post-industrial economy reduced the size of the working class, which is reason being that lots of people are just living off welfare states in a sense. Corbyn's Labour is arguably much more hostile to capitalism and by extension social democracy than under the era of Blair's Labour Party. Now this is a key example that you can give for the point as well. Perfect. Historical maternalism. Now we have this point over here, and this is the idea that the economic system in a society can have influence on all aspects of society. This is proven through the social welfare that we were just talking about, whether people are not working so much because of the economic system provided their welfare benefits, therefore they don't feel the need to work. And there's a quote for this, and the historic materialism states that development of a society can be explained by economic and class factors. Easy. Debates about equality. So, I believe we haven't listed this yet about the debates about equality. Social equality, no. But we did already cover this card at the start, which says that a key debate within socialism focuses on let me just highlight this because I like to keep things separate so I don't get confused between my points. It's a good thing. I'm sorry for my handwriting in the role of the state. So we already had the Giddens argument of this, if you can remember, about the third way approach to the economy. Which is a state role to invest in infrastructure and education rather than invest into the economy and take the Keynesian approach. This is because of the development of free markets over time, believed by Giddens. What are the two basic criticisms of collectivism? So obviously we already have collectivism point here. Now what you want to do is you want to highlight this here, and let's draw another arrow off this. Go like this. And then you say critiques of collectivism. Now, what is a critique of collectivism? So, let's do this now. 1 point. Because collectivism emphasizes group action, and common interest. Now, what is the effect of this? What is the effect of this in a sense? What is the effect? Because collectivism is emphasizing group action and common interests, what does this hold back? Let's think about this now. Thought about it? So here it is. It suppresses human individuality and diversity. Now, let's expand on this a bit more, because you need to expand on your point. As collectivists' objectives can only be what? Advanced through the agency of the state. What does this lead to? It leads to growth growth where? Growth of arbitrary state power and the erosion of individual freedom. Good. Next, state-managed capitalism. So this is the next point in the specification for this. And how are we going to adhere to this? How are we going to answer this question? What is state-managed capitalism? Why is it significant? Why is it important? We've got to answer all these questions now. So, state-managed capitalism. Here we are. Let's just highlight this before we go on to the next point. Let's pick a different color. I'm going to choose red again because I like to have my mind maps all in different color. And let's do it over here. So here we're going to do something called 5 minutes left of this video. 5 minutes left of this video. Stay with me now. State managed capitalism. What is state-managed capitalism and why is it important in a sense? So, let's go over here. Key thinker, Crossland. What did he believe? So he believed that government in a democratic society could use the state powers to regulate capitalism. So this is more along the lines of the Keynesian approach in using the state to intervene in the economy. And now, why did he believe this? And this is, for him, equality, which is a main core belief of socialism in society, could be best achieved through economic growth, which would enable a socialist government to have more money for social spending. Equality in society could be best achieved through economic growth which would enable a socialist government to have more money for social spending, which would enable a socialist government to have more money for social spending. Now, how would this be achieved in a sense? Like, what sort of things that we have already discussed would have to be implemented in order for this to be fully achieved successfully? Here, let me think about this now. So, one of the main things that would have to do in order for this to be achieved would be one, Crossan believed that a mixed economy. He believed mixed economy could be best achieved through economic growth. Sorry, I got that wrong because we've already repeated that point. That's a very stupid move from me. A mixed economy of mainly what? Of mainly what would entry into this? Just erase that. I'm so sorry. Here, could mainly of economy of private ownership. Private ownership with less public ownership. Private ownership with less public ownership of industry would cause sustained economic growth. Ownership with less public ownership of industry would cause sustained economic growth. Economic and how would this do this? How would this do? What is the conclusion between all these points, and how would this do this? Like, how would this entail? So this would happen. Terribly sorry, this is almost the end of the video. Economic expansion would provide a government with funds and welfare. Expansion would provide gov funds, welfare, and social spending. ... So the reason I put the ... is so that you don't completely have all the knowledge on this single mind map, but when you read the mind map, it helps you guess. So this, remember this now. So economic expansion would provide a government with funds for welfare and social spending. Now, what would this do? It would improve the lives of those at the bottom of society while enabling the more affluent to preserve their standard of living. I'll say this again. State-managed capitalism, from Crossan's belief, by economic expansion, which would be achieved by the more private businesses and less public businesses, would provide a government with funds for welfare and social spending, because these governments are not spending this money on public businesses because the majority of them are privately owned, and therefore they can improve the standard of living and give social equality to all. That is the end of today's lesson. Thank you very much.